Okay, hello folks. I wanted to share with you my build of the iFlight DC3. This video is basically a build overview. It's not meant to go step by step of how to build it, but basically an overview of the build, how it went, my impressions, what kind of challenges you might face, how I solved them. So let's go ahead and start. Um, I've already removed the screws for the top plate, so I'm gonna remove it and show you the internals. Initially, when I bought this drone, or basically this frame some time ago, I bought it with the air unit, with the DJI air unit, and I mounted the air unit in the back over here, where it's meant to be mounted. It comes with a nice TPU bracket that you put here in the back, and then you mount the air unit, and in the front you install the ESC and the flight controller, and the camera goes here. So after I finished the build with the air unit, not with the CADDX Vista, I flew it around, it was nice, but you could tell that, because it's so much tail heavy, it tends to vibrate when you're doing like aggressive maneuvers, like when you're doing a hard corner or when you're doing a split S, you can sense the vibration. One way to try and overcome that is basically to tune your piece for the pitch axis. So if the air unit is mounted in the back here, the drone is tail heavy. So if you increase your piece on the pitch axis, it can lessen the vibrations on the pitch axis a little bit, but you will still see vibrations, when you're doing hard maneuvers. Um, that is why I basically decided to remove the air unit and install the CADDX Vista. So, what kind of parts did I use on this build? First, I've used the 4000 kV Mamba 1408 motors. They provide ample power for this 3-inch drone. Really, really a good amount of power. It's fast, it's nimble, it's a very powerful, small 3-inch drone. So I've used 1408 4000 kV motors, and I've used a 35 amp BL Heli 32 ESC. Basically, it's more than what is needed for these kind of motors. Any 25 amp 4-in-1 ESC would work. And I've used an F7. It's basically a Holybro Kakute F7 mini flight controller. And on top here, I've mounted an FrSky RXSR receiver. Now, if you look at the back, you'll see that there is a TPU mount, which basically takes the antenna and the antenna for the CADDX Vista unit and the two antennas for the XSR receiver. Now, this TPU doesn't come with the frame. The frame comes with this TPU, which is basically the mount for the air unit antennas. It doesn't work here, obviously, because the CADDX has one antenna only. And so I've used basically this TPU mount, which came with a different frame, but it worked perfectly for this frame because then I put in like some antenna tubes and I've put a heat shrink, and it basically secures your antennas perfectly. And then in the middle, you can basically put your CADDX video antenna, and it fits perfectly here. So what kind of challenges would you face with such a build? Uh, Aside from the fact that it doesn't fly very well with the air unit, and I would recommend definitely to fly it with the CADDX Vista, not with the air unit. Another thing you might come across is if you mount the CADDX Vista and the ESC, you will notice that they are very close to each other. So there's no much space in between them. So basically, if the volt or if the battery lead tabs for the ESC are quite long, or they're basically protruding to the back, most probably they will hit or be very close to the Vista unit, and you won't be able to basically properly solder the battery leads. So, in this case, they're not protruding to the back a lot, so I was able to basically solder the battery leads and with some space still left here. If you look at the bottom, you'll see that it has holes for 20 by 20 stacks, 2 stacks 20 by 20, or 2 stacks 16 by 16, which is really convenient. So you can choose whatever kind of stack you need. Other than that, I mean, I didn't face any major issues. So again, I would not recommend the air unit. Be careful when you choose the ESC for the basically voltage, for the battery lead tabs. Um, yeah, and you have to find a way to mount the CADDX Vista antenna. I was lucky to basically find this old TPU mount. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the battery. So if you fly this drone with basically a 650 milliamp 4S battery, the weight is going to be less than 250 grams, maybe around 235, 240 grams, which is great. But if you fly it with an 850, a 4S 850, the weight will be a little bit above 250 grams, so maybe around 260, 270. So overall, I really like this drone. It's, as I said, it's very powerful, very nimble, and with this battery, it's below 250 grams. And my next video will be basically a flight footage. I'll basically set up some gates and I will fly this, under the gates. I'll do some maneuvers and I will show you how it flies, and it does fly great. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.